Hello, my loves. I have a quick message to give all of you. I hope that you're doing amazing. I've been sitting on this word for a while because, it's not something that I would want to discuss. You guys all know how I feel when God gives me like warning messages and so on, but I have to do my duty and be obedient and release the messages as they come. And I had to put in the title the exact words that God had said to me. And so this isn't like some clickbait or, anything to get you all like super stressed or, just anxious, because that's not what I'm here to do. But God wants to look out for all of you. And when he gave me the word, I was reading an article published years ago. Like, I think I'm going to link it, but it's at least 5 years ago, I believe. And because I thought, okay, maybe he was just telling me, what was going to happen, that it wasn't a prophetic message. And so I started doing my research and thinking, okay, well, what's this all about? So in the article, it had said, there were repercussions and consequences of laying people off, and how that's kind of a new phenomenon within the I don't think they said century, but within a period of time. And it said that about 78% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. And when I remembered that just now, it really hit me, because I was going back and forth with God. Should I put this message out? Should I not? I don't want to, scare anyone, but I do have to do what I have to do, and that's put out the message so that you can prepare yourself. So this is what God is saying. He's saying that in the future, there's going to be massive layoffs, and that's exactly what he said to me. And I was like, wow, that's not good news at all. But what he said to me was, if you find yourself in that situation where you are laid off, just know that a better opportunity is coming for you. So this message is also to prepare you. So if you are in an industry where the jobs are precarious, meaning they're not consistent, or you're just in a job where the industry, they lay off individuals kind of periodically. And it could be really anyone, it could be any industry. If the CEO and the board of directors and shareholders and stakeholders and everybody else agrees to this type of business practice, this decision, then anybody can get caught up in it, right? But when I heard that statistic, that to me is huge, and that represents a lot of people. And this message isn't just for Americans or Canadians where I'm at. Like, YouTube is international, and many people from different countries listen to God's messages or listen to YouTube. And so this could be in anyone's country. And I thought about, we're in a first world country and 78% of individuals are living paycheck to paycheck. What about those in third world countries and second world countries? Like, how are they getting by? And I just became really sad. I became really just sad and a bit mildly depressed. And I was thinking about Solomon when he wrote Ecclesiastes, and I've read not everything, but I've read a good portion of it, and I was saying to God, I'm like, God, this sounds like a man that's depressed, that sees the world, in a way where he could just see that everything, he just kept saying meaningless. Everything was just meaningless. It was meaningless. And I was saying to myself, he must have seen, and having the gift of wisdom, he sees a lot. And as intercessors and seers and those who are gifted like that, sometimes we see things that are so hurtful, and sometimes it makes us question mankind, and sometimes it makes us question God. And so this weighed heavily on my heart, my loves. It really did. So, but God reassured me that you're going to be okay. You have to put your faith in him and trust that the detours are part of his plan. And that's what I wanted to make sure that I came on here and said. So when this does happen, and the time frame that we're looking at is about the end of this year, 2021, going through 2022 and 2023. And a lot of it has to do with what's happened now with COVID and businesses not making the revenue that they've made in the past, although they may have some reserves. When CEOs or your business leaders or whoever, they start looking at the bottom line, they kind of start making financial decisions where it's either they lay off people or the company itself goes under and they lose that entire business. So I'm going to link that article in the description box just for those of you who are interested. Perhaps you're an economist or a CEO yourself or whoever, but this is going to affect the little people. It's going to affect the little people. And it's a difficult decision to make, I'm sure. But I'm hoping that, an alternative solution is provided where jobs and people's livelihoods can be saved, because it's difficult once you're laid off to regain employment sometimes. But I'm definitely just put your hope in God. Put your hope in God and understand that this is just a phase. He kept showing me that word, phase. This is just a phase, and that it's just a transition. And I don't know if you've ever had an experience in your past where, say, perhaps you got fired from a job and at that time you were lamenting and you were going to God and you were crying and you were asking God, what is the plan? What happened? Why did this happen to me? And later on, you realize that was actually one of the best things that could have happened to you. It's like, even when you were in a relationship, like I tell you before, I was in my relationship with my son's father, and I was just devastated over the loss. And then years later, I realized, oh my gosh, I thought I was taking an L, but really God was giving me a silent W. You know what I mean? Like, my son says that it's like an L and like the W. Yeah, I'm getting old, guys. My son has to keep me. My son has to keep me posted with the lingo and stuff. But so it's gonna feel like it's the worst thing that's happening to you in the moment, and it's gonna really test your faith. But just hold on to your faith, hold on to God, and just know that if you find yourself in this predicament, that He's gonna carry you through. Okay, He's gonna carry you through, and just know that no matter what, He's not going to forsake you. He's not going to abandon you. He isn't. Okay, so I hope that this word has will prepare you for the inevitable. And this may not even matter to you now, but you may remember in the future that, God had sent this message and said that this was going to happen. But I really want to stress that, there's two things that he wants you to do, and it's really to start saving as much as you can, and to kind of just get your finances in order starting now. That way, if it does happen, you have some emergency funding, your debts are either completely paid off or, somewhat paid down. And the second thing is, as I said before, is that there's programs available for retraining. And this is often an opportunity. I've seen many, not many, but I've seen individuals get laid off and they transition into a whole new career or a hobby or an idea that they've been sitting on, and or that they've just been with the hobby kind of partaking in, and they decide they want to make that into a full-time job, a full-time career. So sometimes these things happen to push us into a different direction. I don't want to say sometimes, always. It always pushes us into a new direction. And it's a reminder that God is in control. And it's a reminder of how precious and how fluid life truly is, and that we should never really take anything for granted, including our jobs, And so sometimes this is just the push. You could have just been unhappy and in this job and just stay because you're close to that severance package. And this happens and this accelerates you getting that severance package. And now you have some cushion to start that new business. Now you can decide to go back to school. Now you can stay home and maybe, take care of your kids and be there for them more. And with that other job, you wouldn't be able to have the freedom to do that. So I just want you to look at it like that, as opposed to developing a victim consciousness and living in, self-pity. And trust me, I know what that's like. And I'm trying to get myself out of that, even in my own situation, so I can speak to that. And in this area specifically, I have gone through that myself, so I know what that feels like, losing a job. Not necessarily a layoff, but losing a job. And I had less responsibilities than I do now. So so this is like for people who are in the fishing industry, for example, where the employment, it's seasonal, right? You could be a seasonal worker, things like industries like that. And even still, what God is even showing me could even be like financial institutions, because I know in the States, like when the big banks were like on their way, they were crashing basically. They just laid off a ton of employees, and a lot of people were, of course, disgruntled and disappointed and upset, and it just happened so suddenly for a lot of them. So, if something like that does happen in the future, God just wants you to know that He was looking out for you via this message, and He is advising you to start taking care of your finances now. And He was really saying, save your money. And, things will definitely recover at some point. And this year is a year of restoration. That's why I feel like He's saying towards the end of it, like we'll start to see that pattern of layoffs kind of continue. But restoration is not just about finances. If you listen to my message earlier this year, it's restoration of health, it's restoration of relationships, it's restoration of joy, of laughter, whatever it is that you were praying to God for and to ask Him to restore. This was the year for that. in particular. Okay, so I hope that this word blesses someone. Just know that you're covered, you're protected, and that the chess pieces, they move according to God's plan, according to God's divine touch. Okay, so God bless all of you. And I hope you all got your 3-day miracle. I certainly did. I certainly did. And that message is timeless. So if you ever see it in the future, that message is for you. Okay, so God bless all of you. And I will talk to you again soon. Take care.